Hello, Galaxy! I'm Chris Pirillo, and you've tuned into another live edition of the LockerGnome Daily Reporter, TLDR for short. I guess that's what we're calling it again. Doing this for you, for everybody, an AMA every day, a Q&A with you and me. You should turn on notifications because they work, which is pretty amazing, as a matter of fact. I got my push notification to let me know that I'm live right now. Hopefully you did as well. And I just tweeted, too, asking if y'all were ready. Well, you should be ready. So I'm going to be taking a look at the video chat. Those comments are not saved for posterity because YouTube is kind of silly sometimes. But if you want your question answered above all the rest, you could either post a super chat if you want, and then that way I see it above everything else. Or possibly, if you are so inclined, you could effectively jump into Discord. Now, you can access Discord chat specifically by either becoming a patron of mine. Link is in the video description, patreon.com/Chris Pirillo. And then you get access to the 24/7 Discord chat. That is for you. It's for everybody, really. And you can also become a sub of mine on Twitch. Easy to do. Twitch.tv/Chris Pirillo. Super easy to do, just as easy as becoming a patron, and then you would also get access to the Discord chat there as well. So, welcome aboard. Tomorrow, I gotta tell you, despite me, why am I always doing this to my nose? I don't know. People probably think something's up. No, nothing's up. I just have hairs growing in places that I never thought they would grow, honestly, and then I get agitated in it. I don't think it's a nervous tick or anything that I know of. Maybe I do have a nervous tick. Ticks are bad. They can give you Lyme disease, if you didn't know that. I've had ticks before. They got pulled out, and you got to make sure you get the head. Oh, this is so soon. David Stevens already did the first super chat. Hi, Chris, again. Hello, David Stevens. It's good to see you. We are on a first-name, last-name basis now. I think you've been to every one of these live broadcasts, David, and I appreciate that. Tomorrow is what I was telling you. I'm going to be doing a live commentary of the Google announcements starting at 9 a.m. Pacific, so you got to tune in. That live video is going to actually be in the other YouTube channel, youtube.com/Chris Pirillo, because I know a lot of people are still thinking that's the only video channel I have, but it's not true. I can't do live video all the time in that channel because I would just flood everybody out. And then the next thing I was going to let you know is that right after this live broadcast, we're going to make today's video in the Chris Pirillo YouTube channel public. You got to tune in because here's the announcement. Podcast. Okay, that's really more of a keyword metadata than it is an announcement. A long time ago, in a galaxy not so far away, I had a podcast that sprang out of a show I did a long time ago, a live audio program where people could actually call in, and I did that on live.pirillo.com for a number of years as well. Actually took live calls, answered questions, and recorded videos. Those videos are still around as well. You could watch them. I don't know why you would, because most of the questions that you were asking me a decade ago are likely going to have different answers now. Like if you asked, what's the fastest computer you can get? My response to you today would be radically different than it would have been back then. I'm kicking up the podcast again. It's simply just going to be called Chris Pirillo. The classic title was The Chris Pirillo Show. It also went by the handle The LockerGnome Daily Report. But I'm doing a podcast. And the nice thing is I'm using an app called Anchor. You could use Anchor for either Android or iOS. And you want to download it, and here's why. Because you can call in to the podcast. It won't be live, but I'll basically be able to take your calls. And so it'll be Chris Pirillo in podcast form, just audio, talking about things that he didn't talk about in TLDR, that you were able to call in and ask about. So there you go, Chris in video, or if my face annoys you, then you can just be annoyed by my voice in the podcast. And you can subscribe to the podcast on pretty much every platform. It's being submitted to all the podcast places. I don't know where you even listen to podcasts. I asked that question, though, in the video. So save the answer for that video. There's a sneak peek. You get that little bonus ahead of time. Patrons did find out what the video was. They were able to watch it when I had it uploaded earlier. But I'm just giving you it's a little bit of a little bonus clip for tuning in. So we've got a couple of questions here. Jason Chinsolo asked, Chris, have you heard about more problems for iOS 11.0.2? No, but one of the bugs that I've seen get addressed is apparently the crackling noise that some iPhone 8 users heard with the speaker. I only ran into that issue once with my device, and it wasn't even with the phone application. It was with a third-party app. So I don't have it. I probably will not be getting 11.0.2 because I just moved to the beta. So I'm on 11.1 already, and I'm fine with that. I'm sure those fixes will get rolled into a future beta update, so I'm pretty confident that I'll be fine over time. Nothing that I think was incredibly pressing, and I would not expect massive changes, honestly, in terms of performance until we reach 11.3. 11.3, I think, is where the rubber meets the road, which is kind of sad. It's telling you that you have to live with iOS 11 in its current state, largely, until we get to 11.3. And then you get to start all over again with iOS 12. So, I am so excited for tomorrow's set of Google announcements. I'm serious. What we're going to do is basically, and this is a concept, I'm going to throw it out there, because there's been, suggestions, hey, Chris, you should get this device, that device. I think what we're going to do tomorrow is, effectively, during the broadcast, I'm going to say, hey, look, I can't find a review unit. I'm looking for a way to offset those costs. So during this broadcast, every super chat that you post will go directly. It'll be a device drive or a flagship fund. So tomorrow it would be the super chats would get applied to getting new Google products, the Pixels, including, and I really want to, I'm serious about this, I want to get the original Pixel, if only to be able to compare the original Pixel and the new Pixel, which I wouldn't be able to do. Because I do want to get the Pixel and then potentially even the Pixel XL. And there may be a question of when they're going to be released and staggering the date releases for either one of them. So we'll have our first device drive. And if it works, what we'll do in the future is effectively a device drive for other devices. So, all right, everybody, if you want me to get a Note 8, come into this live stream. We'll do a live TLDR and raise the fund, so that Chris can offset the cost, because it's a hell of a lot easier than outlaying, $1,000 up front. And then, based upon that, I'd be able to do more device reviews for y'all, and you guys could power it. I know it's just a concept. I don't know how well that's going to work. But, of course, you could also, be a patron and sub to me on Twitch, and that helps on an ongoing basis. But I'm talking specifically for one-off, so we'll be experimenting tomorrow. Runrig Fan asks, hey, Chris, I have the Huawei Mate 9. I heard about the Mate 10. Looks a little weird on the back, but I'm not going to pass judgment because I don't usually pay attention to the back of phones. I don't know if it was released in the USA. Neither do I. I haven't even heard much about it. Honestly, even in all the discussions recently, there hasn't been much said about Huawei in the Mate, apart from the pending announcement with the 10. The phone runs Android Nougat, and which works wonders. Mate 10 coming. Do you think Huawei will ever be as big as Google, etc.? No, I think it'll be consistently relegated to a stack of brands. I don't think Huawei has much personality driving it, and that's I think it's detriment, because I have the Nexus 6P. I've even thought about selling it. I just can't generate revenue. I would sell it to make up the cost to buy the Pixel, but I can only get like maybe 100. If I'm lucky, 200, right? And so it's like, well, at that point, what's the point? I'd rather hold on to it just in case at that stage. But I don't think they're going to be as big as Google, if only because they don't control the platform. They're not creating anything that I think is capturing the attention of average people. Hell, I thought LG was doing a pretty decent job, but the only Android phone that seems to be popping up over and over again is something from Samsung. I mean, there are plenty of OEMs, right? There's Moto or Motorola. There's Lenovo. There is Sony. The list goes on and on. But Huawei, it doesn't really have as much brand cachet as the others do, which isn't to say that the device is all that bad. I don't know. I haven't had an experience with it beyond the one that I had, which did, by the way, suffer from some pretty bad hardware issues, or especially over time. I didn't use mine as extensively as others did. Taylor Horsley says, Chris, I've started my vegan journey. I'm wondering if you're going to post another vegan monthly vlog video. I've been enjoying those greatly. Probably not. I mean, I may answer questions as we kind of go along. You're asking a question. I don't know. I mean, they worked, but, I'm past now a couple of months, and it's pretty firmly established. I don't want to be known as the vegan any more than I want to be known as the tech guy, right? I'm just Chris Pirillo, and it's just another part of me. So certainly, I have some recommendations. I would watch all those videos that I posted there. Just keep it to a whole food plant-based diet. Watch plenty of the presentations from Doctors McDougall, Esselstyn, I can see his face. Nutritional facts or nutrition facts. I can't remember his name. I apologize. His name. That's bad. I should remember his name. I've listened to enough of his videos. He looks at all the latest scientific research and meta studies and basically gives an analysis. It's amazing. If you think you're a geek, you gotta start looking into food science, man, because that'll really geek you out. Let's see here. Michael Naseby II says, you've never had the original Pixel. I have not. Steve Zian asks, will you make a video talking about Scott Forstall? Probably not. I alluded to him in a video last week about in relation to Tim Cook's performance and what I think he should do. Boomer Dog asks, Chris is switching to Android. I don't consider it switching so much as swapping. Kind of like wife swap, only it's device swap. Not really. It's not. Doesn't really have a nice punchy ring to it. But I am increasingly getting antsy with the state of iOS. Like, really. And if there's something better, perceivably at a distance, I'm ready. I think I'm ready to swap, not necessarily to switch outright. I will keep a little bit of iOS in my life, but it may get relegated to a second-class device. David Stevens comes again with the super chat. I think we can both agree that Apple needs to copy Android's notification system. That's what we were saying. Holy effing nightmare on iOS. Exactly, David. That's precisely what I mean. You don't realize how bad iOS notifications are. They're bad, and they've gotten worse. Oh, it's bad. That is the number one reason. If only. I mean, if someone were to ask me, Chris, I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe I should do iOS, maybe I should do Android, iPhone, or this device. What do you think? Which one is better for notifications? I'm like, oh, well, there's no contest. It's Android. Android kicks it whips the iPhone's ASCII, ASCII art. I love ASCII art. You can do. Did you know there's a web-based Winamp player? You can actually upload a song and play Winamp within your browser. I tweeted it earlier. I assume everyone's following me. Let's see here. Steve Jacobs 1 comes in with a super chat. What if Diana secretly wants the iPhone 10? Oh, that breaks my heart. There's just, why you got to do that, man? That's just like, but if she wants it, fine. I'm not the one who has to stare at it. That's, moreover, I'm like, okay, we don't usually do the devices anymore that way. We don't have a range of devices flooding in. We have to buy our own devices. So effectively, for the past few years, to save money, she will inherit the device that moves down. So right now she's been moved over to the iPhone 7 Plus. I've actually got her 6S here that I've got to wipe, and then it'll go to someone else in the family. So that's effectively how we're doing things. She doesn't necessarily need the flagship, if only because she doesn't do a lot of these types of videos. And then she's been fine with it. I think she's going from a smaller device to a larger one again, because she had the 6 Plus, I believe. Because I got it and I didn't want it. I was like, I can't deal with the problems in how this is rendering software. And then I used the 6S. So the 6S came back to her. If she secretly wants it, we're going to have words. I'm like, do you not watch any of the videos that I do? Do you not listen to these other pundits out there? Like, you don't have to listen to me. Because, that's what happens. You get together with someone and they never listen to you. You ever been with someone, right? And you say, this is the way, this. And they say, and then they ignore your advice, and then someone else tells them, and then they come back and you say, well, I was thinking about this. I'm like, that's what I was saying. It happens all the time. I don't think that's a man-woman thing. I think it's just a couples thing. You never believe the person you're with until someone else tells them the same thing, and then they understand. Oh, give me a break. Hey, Bob Burrows here. Everybody, we got a celebrity in our midst. I say celebrity because he worked on the first iPhone team. He was one of the people responsible for the first iPhone. He knows a heck of a lot more than I do. I've referred to him in recent videos as well. So he's got some opinions on the iPhone 10. Oh man, those to me would be very qualified opinions, more so than my opinions. Gavin Howe. Hey, Gavin. I know Gavin is a sub of mine on Twitch because I see him in our Discord chat. Do you ever throw out any of your Star Wars collection? Surely you can't keep everything forever if it keeps growing. I move things around. I don't get everything. I just look for the things that I want to have, and of course, some things are sent. I buy new shelves. that's one way of expanding. I know that there's only so much room, but I guess there's been a rare occasion when I've looked at something thinking, why do I want this? I've skipped things that are large, too. Other things I haven't skipped. I'm a fan of figures, certainly. Now, I've had this Thrawn on my desk for a while, so since you brought up the topic, it would not be a TLDR if Chris did not talk about Star Wars. Originally EU, now part of canon, Thrawn. Grand Admiral Thrawn. He'll go with my shorter Thrawn. Very happy to have finally unboxed him. I don't worry though. I have another one in box for safekeeping. This one I'm going to be able to pose and stand up and do other things that you are supposed to do with action figures. Although I don't really like the way that these 6-inch figures, specifically from Hasbro, are balanced. He's probably going to fall over. That's my prediction in the remainder of this video. It's just a prediction. Edward Lee, thank you for the super chat. Add this money to your Pixel 2 fund. Thank you. It will go there. Although I need my Pixel fund first, then the Pixel 2, then the Pixel 2 XL. It's going to be a very expensive year for Chris Pirillo. Oh, God. Just want to say I appreciate your content, Edward Lee. I appreciate the support, as I do the support of everybody, no matter how they give it. Coben Formax asks, hey, Chris, what do you think about about Android being able to sync with OS X? OS X with hybrid Android, by the way. First time seeing you live. Oh, well, welcome aboard. I don't bite. Think about Android being able to sync with them. I think it would be nice. I don't think it's going to happen. Google's got some desktop software that makes sense. If anything, I would expect, you could use the web to synchronize, and that's largely what you can do. Allo is now available on the web. It's available on the web on iOS, for their messaging client. I'm not inclined to jump to Allo immediately in the near term. I may use Duo more than Allo, certainly in making video calls specifically from an Android device. But I don't see Google investing too much time beyond the web. Chrome, I think, is where a major amount of the resources should go to. And it is steadily improving. I just wish it would improve faster in terms of its performance on Mac OS. I was expecting more of a boost after High Sierra, but unfortunately that didn't happen. David Stevens comes in yet again with another super chat. Did you know that iOS 11 had one of the slowest adoption rates of any iOS release ever? Coincidence? I think not. I think not too. I don't have any insider information, but I would be shocked. Someone, may be able to confirm this or deny it. I don't work for Apple. I don't really know too many people who do. I would be shocked if Apple did not see an influx of people coming in to the Apple stores complaining about their new iPhones with iOS 11. That wouldn't shock me at all. It wouldn't shock me. I'm sorry, I was putting Thrawn's pistol in his hand there, just in case you're wondering. Not that you're wondering. I'm just playing with my dolls here. My Dark Helmet dolls. I've got my Dark Helmet around here somewhere too. Where is he? There he is. I got a Dark Helmet. I'm gonna put my Dark Helmet next to my Thrawn. It's pretty cool. It's a bootleg. They never actually made those figures. Chris says, Neil H. Hope you and Diane and Jedi are doing well. We are, for the most part. iOS 11 is now at 38.5 of user base. Okay, so this is, I guess now to further that point, it's slower than iOS 10, but more than Android Oreo at 0.1%. Are you surprised iOS adoption rate is slowing down? Possibly not. I think maybe people got scared by the news. Maybe people just don't see much of a reason to update it. Lord knows I didn't see much of a reason to update it. It also doesn't surprise me Android Oreo adoption is so low for a few reasons. One, there are a lot more Android devices. Two, it's the licensing model that Google adhered to for a number of years. Three, Project Treble will accelerate that number. It won't mitigate it entirely, but I think Google is starting to take great strides in improving adoption rates of their latest platform. Moreover, I think it's, for the most part, less important for you to have the latest Android version on your phone than it is to have the latest iOS version on your iPhone, because of the way that Google has decoupled a lot of its services. The Google Play services, the apps and it's all the default stuff are separated from that core operating system experience to better mitigate the challenge. So even with a lower proliferation, number one, I expect it to improve, and specifically with Project Treble as a part of Android Oreo. And number two, it's not as important. Security updates are a different story entirely, but again, Android Oreo should be able to mitigate that. Cassie Lowe, hey Cassie, haven't seen you in a bit either. It's been a while since I've been able to been to a live stream. Yeah, I'm doing it at different times, but it seems that I haven't quite found the sweet spot for time. I don't know if it's going to be later in the evening. I don't know if it's going to be earlier in the day. It's not really predictable to me outright. Let's see here. When does Oreo come out? It's out, dude. Hero of Slime. Thank you for asking that question. Sorry, I'm not crazy. Can you see a fly? I can see a fly. There's a fly buzzing around right now. This is not me wiping my nose again. It's seriously, there's a fly in this room. Flies. I thought they were supposed to die this time of year. Not that I would wish death on a fly. I don't think vegans are supposed to feel that. Runrig fan asks, Star Wars Force Awakens was released on cassette? As it's Star Wars, would you buy it as a physical release, or do you prefer a download? I'd prefer downloads. In fact, I have not purchased a physical album in ages. The last album I got was probably, let me see here, it's right over here. Give me a moment. I'm going to pull, was this it? No, I think this was it. Should put this out front. Oh, I know why I put this in front. I'm a huge They Might Be Giants fan, as y'all know, and my name is actually in this. Well, no, this is the autographed one, and my name is in here. See if it's in alphabetical order: PQRS. Where is it? I'm not going to circle it, but let's see if I can hold it up just like so. So my name, it's probably going to be out of focus, and the light is going to be odd. But my name, you may not be able to tell, but my name's in this album. I'm a super president. My name is also in this They Might Be Giants album. These are the last two albums that I've purchased. I'm not going to try to find my name on there. But it's really cool. I love being a super president. I love supporting my favorite creators in the ways that they want me to support them. I mean, this to me is everything. To be in a They Might Be Giants album like that is... it's beautiful is what it is. Let's see here. Gonna scroll down a little further. Maybe. Jump down. Let's see here. The Last Sith asked, do you earn revenue when viewers use YouTube Red to avoid ads? Yes, I do. In fact, the longer you watch the videos that I do, the more I'm able to generate in terms of revenue. And that's good. It helps a great deal. Moreover, I got to tell you, YouTube's been playing footsie with a lot of creators in the realm of advertising. The 4K video we uploaded today, me talking about my 4K experience, tried to record the video in 4K on the iPhone 8, it hasn't run ads that we've been able to monetize. Basically, if your title is wrong according to YouTube or Google, or tags are wrong, they're not advertiser friendly, whatever the hell that means, you lose monetization until someone can review it. I'm like, dude, I've been on the platform for over a decade. I've done nothing wrong. But, you're guilty until proven innocent. So I don't like relying on advertising. I still don't like relying on advertising. I'd much rather rely on patrons and subs and super chats. It's just a far more sustainable model, beyond sponsorships. Because ads, unfortunately, aren't a very sustainable model. It's still very much a challenge. Jesus Tare says, Chris, hope you can review the Pixel. Like your honest reviews a lot. I hope to review the Pixel as well. Arturo, hey Arturo, Chris, don't you hate seeing the typical tech YouTubers reviewing the new iPhone 8 and saying it's buttery smooth multiple times during the video? They do. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I have not watched one single iPhone 8 review, nor do I intend on watching one single iPhone 10 review. I don't need to waste my time. But if they're saying that, they're lying, or they don't see it. Either way, you can't trust someone who says that. It's just empirically false. That's fake news, God. That's so bad. That's really sad. I'm not calling anybody out in particular, but that's wrong, dude. That is so wrong. Scrolling through. Jordan Vasquez says, when you record your reactions tomorrow, could you mark the point where the live stream starts? I want to watch both videos at the same time when possible, lol. Well, I will do my best. And I kind of narrate like towards the beginning, and I try to make it such that it is timed appropriately. I'm very careful about audio licensing. The last thing I want to do is get my video taken down or stricken for copyright or whatever. So I don't broadcast anybody else's audio. I've been really sensitive to that over all the years. But you know what? I've never been really stricken with a copyright infringement, a strike. Other people have, and I just want to be careful about that. Let's see here. Humza Ahmed asks, hey Chris, OnePlus devices are getting very popular now in the UK because of the clean Android experience, great hardware and design. Have you tried one or heard of them? I've heard of them. I think one of the next devices I would be getting would be the OnePlus 6. Is that the next one that'd be out? OnePlus 6 is on my radar. But again, it's like, I want to do the device drives, the flagship funds, unless I can find a device sponsor to end all device sponsors. To me, it would be a great help. I'd rather, honestly, if you want me to look at the device, I'd rather go to you as the community to be able to afford that device, so I don't have to go through a review unit process, so that I don't have to worry about other stresses, which would make you concerned, if a third party gave it to me. Not to say that I would turn that opportunity down, because it's a huge savings, but it comes with a little kind of a little flag when you recognize that, especially people who get Apple devices, they may want to stay in Apple's good graces. I'm not casting aspersions. I'm just simply pointing out what should be very painfully obvious. Santiago Hinojosa says he's back to watching now that I'm doing tech. Thank you. Let's see here. I'm scrolling and looking for... thank you for... You guys, you're all like happy and surprised that I'm doing this, and I appreciate that. I do. Thanks for turning on notifications in this channel and the classic Chris Pirillo channel. I do appreciate it. Although Fred Gingras says, just found out about you, man. I love that. It's funny. As much as I've done online, there are more people who don't know who I am. He does love the content. Stick around. Eventually, you'll hate me. Don't worry about it. I am true to myself. That is true. I do speak my mind. That is true. Continue to follow me. Thank you for doing that. And like I said, you change your mind. It happens. Can't hold you to that. The Jesus Tare asked, Chris, did you stop drinking coffee? Why? 2 cups of coffee a day, black coffee only, no cream, no sugar, is very healthy. The caffeine is possibly healthy, but there may be some other issues in relation to coffee that I'm not so sure about, specifically endothelial impediments. I think I was drinking too much coffee, and when I dropped any kind of animal product, I effectively dropped coffee as well. Every so often I may have an espresso. Like we're entering fall, and I love warm beverages in the fall. So I may go back to like a shot of espresso a day. I may do that. I never promised that I'd swear off a coffee. There's nothing effectively wrong with it, but in terms of like what I would drink before, I'm not gonna be at that level. Let's see here. Louis Patino says, hey, I didn't get a notification on my Switch account. I'm a subscriber now on your Switch account. I don't know what the Switch account is. Let's see here. Boomer Dog asks, I'm getting my first Android tablet tomorrow. I'm thinking about that Pixelbook. It's going to be a very expensive day tomorrow, so thanks again for your support. But I'm not sure if I can upgrade to Oreo on it. Is Nougat or Oreo a drastic difference? I don't know if I'd say drastic. It's going to be a while. If the tablet doesn't have Oreo now, it may be a long while before it gets it. Not to say that I think there's any benefits outright with the difference between Nougat and Oreo specifically on a tablet, though. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Primal Edge says, I'll follow you anywhere, wherever, except into traffic. That's just nuts. I would agree with you. Like, completely. David Stevens says, super chat. I'm sorry I missed that there. DxO Mark scored the Note 8 right up with the 8 Plus, 94. So, yeah, that was a very interesting comparison. Not to say that I trust any one source. DxO, I think they work pretty well. There are certain photos that I appreciated more on the Note or on the Note 8, and then others that I appreciated more on the iPhone. But then I started to wonder, well, what's the true to life color? Like I look at both photos, I'm like, they both look pretty good for different reasons. but like there are subtle differences between the two that I'm wondering. Well, is this woman that we're using as a subject? Is she more of a does she have red tones in her hair, or is she a full on brunette? And the iPhone snapped a different shot than the Note 8 dramatically. And I'm like, I just kind of wonder, but I wasn't there. I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question. Moreover, as I was scrolling down, I was like looking at comparisons between the Note 8 and the iPhone 8. And then the Pixel right in the middle, I'm like, whoa! I'm like, between the two, I'm like, all right, the iPhone does this part pretty well, but that Pixel image is stellar. Stellar! They're not joking. The Pixel has a good camera, which makes you kind of wonder, what's the Pixel 2 camera going to be like? That's why I have to get a Pixel. I have to. Luckily, it's going to be more affordable after tomorrow, I believe. I'm not big into refurb units, though. I'd rather know that I'm getting a device fresh from the box. Call me a curmudgeon, if you wish. But that's just how I feel. Got a couple super chats back to back. Amon asks, just typical. Thank you for being you, Chris. Well, thank you, Amon, for being you. I do appreciate that. It does help. Every little bit helps. Santiago Hinojosa comes in with the super chat. You literally... Whoa. Hang on. You got to hear this one. You literally made me love Star Wars before I even watched it. Love, in caps. I made you love Star Wars before you watched it. I love your content, your opinions on tech. Keep up the great work. Keep up the great support. Can't do it without you. That's so funny. I made you love... But you know what? There's so much to love. Even if you don't, love the figures. You could love the films. Even if you don't love the films, you can love the comics. Even if you don't love the comics, you can love the TV shows, the cartoons. Even if you don't love the TV show. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's so much to revel in with fandom. So much. I love it. I can't get through a day without it. Yeah, baby! That wasn't me ending the sentence, by the way. I wasn't pulling... Yes! Maybe. I don't know what she said. Jedi. My daughter is calling me. Okay, well, we'll maybe look for it later. I have no idea what she said. But if I, pretend I knew, then, we can move on. I don't know if you could hear her yelling in the background, but that was Jedi. I'm glad to have brought you to the realm of Star Wars to bring a fandom into your life. And forever will it dominate your destiny. No doubt about that. Louis Patino mentioned the subscribe to the Twitch account with your Amazon Prime. I thought live shows were going to be on there. No, live shows here. If I do anything on Twitch streaming, it's probably just IRL, hanging out. I may do like mobile streams, like if I'm driving somewhere, or just, the thing I got to worry about is bandwidth. But most of my video stuffs are going to be over here on YouTube. But since you sub on Twitch, remember, you get access to the Discord chat 24/7, so you should jump into that. It's a little active right now because, of course, I'm being hyperactive on YouTube. Just FYI, just letting you know. Oh, are you in there? No, Gavin's there. I see Gavin's in the chat. David Stevens comes in again with a super chat. Forbes just roasted Apple and the iPhone 10 in a new article. I know you don't like Forbes, but it's in lockstep with your thoughts. I consider the source, but, at least if they're being honest and they can back their play, then, I'm not going to fault them for that. Certainly not. But it is interesting that, we're starting to see more and more, people kind of come forward with this this idea that maybe the emperor has no clothes. I am very proud to say that I've been beating this drum for years. I'm not, Johnny come lately. This is not my first rodeo. I've been talking about this for a while, and so it's somewhat vindicating. For years I was written off. Not to say that people don't write me off now. It's just I know what I see. You can't tell me what's real and what's fake. I trust my eyes. I saw a good question here. Oh, Crichton Series 4000. Could you maybe talk a bit about what you thought about that flowchart on Twitter? Would love to. Good to hear your thoughts. So Crichton ended up doing this amazing little flowchart talking about how I might be able to secure devices in a crowdfunding capacity using Patreon and pledges and stuff. And it was really well thought out. I think we've got a better way of doing it, as I mentioned earlier in the video, or you may have to rewind if you tuned in late. Just going with like kind of a flagship fund or a device drive for devices that the community wants me to look at, especially before they're about to launch, to be able to cover my costs outright. But it was a great flowchart, and I ended up quote tweeting it. Billy Higgins says, just started following you a few weeks ago. Absolutely love your intellect and advice. Thank you, and keep it up. Dude, Billy, you got to keep it up. I'll keep it up. It's not a vicious circle, but it's a very, very much, it's a reinforcing scenario here. This is not just Chris talks to a camera and that's it. It's very much a two-way street. I can't do this alone. I don't want to do it alone. So I appreciate your support in whatever way that you see fit to give it. I see a Windows set there. Okay, I'm going to throw everybody to the chat here. DU Sagan says, what could be wrong when Windows 7 boots to a black screen with mouse pointer control and recovery won't boot? I haven't touched Windows. I haven't thought about Windows 7 since, like, I couldn't even tell you how long ago. I have no idea. That sounds like it's ready for reformatting. I mean, obviously the computer boots up. So I'd be surprised if it was a hard drive failure. A driver issue? I don't know. I legit don't know. Someone else out there might. I don't know everything. I'll be the first to tell you that too. I don't know everything. Let's see here. Give me a second. You can't super chat from Spain. Oh, Guillermo. You can't super chat from Spain? Oh, man. But, Guillermo, you are a patron, so you're good. Like, I'm happy with whatever support. I'm looking for the questions. Looking for questions. Jason Chinsolo. Chris, do you ever conversation? I'm not sure I understand that question outright. But if you can clarify that question, I'd be happy to answer it. Oscar Foranzi Fawcett asks, hey, Chris, I value your expertise in the tech world. Well, I appreciate that. Quick question. Are you playing the Battlefront beta? Isn't that released tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow. I haven't. I most likely won't. Tomorrow's going to be a busy day. I can tell you that right now. I will likely, if I do, and I probably will play Battlefront. I haven't decided what platform I'm going to use. Probably going to be PS4. If only because my brothers use the PS4, and if we play, then we can play together on it. If I do stream a gameplay, it would likely be in the Star Wars Radar YouTube channel. Probably won't be using Twitch for that outright. It just doesn't fit in terms of what I've been able to do. But I do value Twitch's ability to connect directly with Discord. Jay asks, Chris, are you working out? You look so strong. I am not strong. I have lost weight recently, though. That's for sure. I'm healthy. I'm at a healthy weight, right in the low 130s, and I'm happy about that. Dave Linderschmidt asks, do you see there being a correlation when Apple began to work on the new campus and the start of the downhill quality control with iOS? No, I do not see a correlation because, as far as I'm concerned, that began the moment the moment Forstall was effectively booted, and that to me was very disappointing to see happen. I really do wish that could have played out differently. I don't think it's too late at this stage. I could be wrong, but I don't know if Apple's going to change its ways. As far as what it sees as a problem and what we as users may see as a problem. I'm not Fucho the Clown. I got to be careful how I pronounce this. This has got to be safe for advertisers. DU Sagan, his response is, it may be a corrupted registry. Try an offline restore of the regback files. Haven't touched it in ages, man. I'm proud about not having touched Windows 7 in ages. If it works for you, not passing judgment. Let's see here. And someone else mentions it could be an Explorer issue. Cody Mort mentioned that. Riley... Oh, man, now the chat jumped. Riley, you had a question. Was asking, I didn't read it all the way. Riley Morton, can you give your thoughts on the future of tech with HomePods and Amazon Home devices and the like? Most of them are junk. I've heard this from average users over and over again. Like, they have to repeat their queries. They're not very personalized. They just kind of stick out like a sore thumb. They just get relegated to, the far corner of the countertop eventually. That to me is not a good experience. I don't think AI is there yet. I think we're getting there, and I think it's the new IT product, but I don't have one outright. I don't want something like that. I would rather have something with a lot more personality, quite honestly. Something that is, if it's an object I'm interacting with in the home, I want to feel like I'm interacting with the object, right? That's what I feel. And I think, having something like that, I don't just want to look at it like a phone, right? I don't just want it to be this inanimate object. I want to. I guess I would look for one to be fun, and I don't see that as fun. I see it as utilitarian, just like a phone. I don't see a phone as fun. I don't see a computer as fun. I see a figure as fun, right? I see a toy as fun. So I guess maybe I'm looking for something like the cross between a toy and one of those kind of AI-driven experiences, because I want to have fun with an object like that. And I'm sorry, but a lot of those devices are like not fun, not fun. Vicky Gillen asks, how can I become a Patreon member again? Check the link in the video description, patreon.com/Chris Pirillo, and or chrispirillo.com will also redirect to that. Okay, now scrolling down. Chris says, Coben 4 Max, I know you hate the iPhone 10. Well, I dislike it at a distance. I don't like the software implementation, I can tell you that. But does having dual OIS make any difference, iPhone 10? Also, can iPhone 8 Plus be damaged easily due to back glass? Possibly. Earlier reports suggest that it's not as strong as Apple suggests it is, but as far as having a dual optical image stabilization, it may benefit the photos, possibly, but I don't know if it's enough to get me over that hump. For some it might be, but I'm going to be very interested in seeing what Google does with that second pixel. Not just from a hardware standpoint, but from a software standpoint as well. I'm very, very, very interested, because the first pixel still looks so good. So good! How? How did they do it? Software magic. I'm telling you, software is... The Google Pixel camera doesn't work well and doesn't create great photos because of its hardware necessarily. One lens. It works well because the software works. The hardware takes the picture. The software makes the picture. That sounds good. Kind of... I know. What do you think? That should become a thing. That should become a quote. I'll forget the quote like after this month. So what do we got here? Moving on. People are asking about iOS 11.0.2. I don't have any experience with it because I skipped it and went to iOS 11.1 as I alluded to earlier today. I guess some people are saying that it has more issues. That wouldn't surprise me. It's not ready. 11.3 is when I think iOS is going to get stable again. Ugh. Santiago Hinojosa asks, what do you think the next iPhone is going to be called? Apple is just going downhill with the naming. I wish I knew. I don't think they're going to call it the iPhone 11. I wish they'd just go with a different scheme or a strategy, because they've already jumped left and right with numbers, and I don't know. They have like with the watch, the Apple Watch Series 1, Apple Watch Series 2. So I think, they should almost go back to series. If they're doing that with the watch, they should do... I just wish it was just more cohesive, and it's impossible. It's just going to be a mess. So, in my estimation, it should be... As odd as it sounds, it should be... the year is almost the thing that makes sense. Like, iPhone 2017 Pro, or iPhone Pro 2017. iPhone 2017. iPhone 2007, or iPhone Pro 2017. iPhone 10 2017. That's where it really gets weird. So I wish they had a more cohesive strategy, but I wish I knew. I honestly wish I knew. Taylor Horsley asks, I've heard that microwaves destroy food nutrients. Thoughts? According to many studies done at university, you gotta watch for the funding too. That is not true. As a matter of fact, it can actually save nutrients, because it's not the heat that's necessarily applied. It's the longevity of that heat that may actually destroy nutrients. There have been many studies done on this, suggesting that if you're looking to effectively microwave your food, you can do it for a shorter period of time and still be able to destroy bacteria, and also effectively lock in the most amount of nutrients in said food. There are different tips and tricks, when dealing with vegetables that may lose nutrients. I don't know if you'd microwave your fruit necessarily, but specifically in the range of vegetables, Whole Foods. Not Whole Foods, the store now owned by Amazon. Why did it have to be named that? We've got Mario. We've got Mario, VTC Productions PC is his handle, coming in with a super chat. Hey Chris, do your parents see issues with iOS? I know Joe has an eye for issues. Windows 8 video. I know a lot who refuse to go to iOS 7. I don't think Dad is as discerning. I think Diana noticed the issues pretty clearly. Dad did ask if he should update to 11. I said, you're just as well to wait. I don't think there's anything that he needs to be worried about up front. And if he's fine with 10, and 10 is not great, it's okay. But 11's just bad right now. I don't know if I'd recommend my dad upgrade to 11 until 11.2 is final. It'll be out in a few months, and he'll be fine. He'll survive. I don't know if I would recommend too many people upgrade to iOS 11. I just not really thinking that's gonna be a thing. Throwboy, good guy. And you should know Throwboy if you don't. He's even thinking that I should get back into the selling pillow game. We mentioned this the other day. I'm not really hot into the merchandising. I never really sold a lot of my own merch. If I did, maybe we should do pixel pillows together. Pirillo's pixel pillows. And do a series of pixel pillows, like little pixelated creatures that you can have as a pillow. And then I got to do t-shirts with pixel art. I love pixel art. Huge fan of pixel art. My original merch that I started out with back in the late 90s, I still have one of the original LockerGnome caps. And this is, I think it was the Throwboy LockerGnome head prototype. I don't think you can buy them anymore, though. It was a limited run because, I hate to say it, very few people wanted my face on a pillow. I don't blame you one bit. These are the only two bits, really, that I keep around, though, because they were my favorite. Andrew Hayes says, would it be better for a company like Apple to maybe release a new phone or device every 2 years instead of trying to release one every year? Perhaps it would give them the time to develop a better product. I wish they had a better product development cycle, but if they did that, they could get outlapped quickly because so many new devices are released as competition year-round. So it's not that they have just one competitor in Android, it's that they have Samsung and LG and to a certain degree Huawei and you name the OEM. So it's got to be more cyclical, and it has to be more constant and repetitive. And I think an annual cycle is far more important. That said, I think they need to slow down with iOS. They need to go back to the drawing board. Whatever scratches, start there and build up again, because it is so ripe for a rebooting. I thought it was just going to be a temporary problem with iOS 7. Seriously, people still watch my iOS 7 review video. It's still up in the Chris Pirillo channel. It's long. But you just hear me just like with a severe amount of disdain for what Apple slopped on top of the experience. That was the beginning of the end. I've stuck with them this long because, quite honestly, Android hasn't gotten interesting to me until the last a year. Android Oreo, and not to say that there's a lot of features in Android Oreo, but Google's starting to, I feel, take it seriously. So I'm going to start taking them seriously. It's definitely ripe for a reboot. Crichton Series 4000 asks, would you consider looking at lower and mid-tier phones to compare them to iPhone? Some of them are surprisingly good for the money. If you're interested, maybe we'll do the device drives for the Moto X4. That's one of them. And there's another one, another major manufacturer, so Moto, I'd like to look at. And another one that I caught earlier today, and I'm like, oh, that would be kind of neat to look at. But I'm like, well, if I spend $400, can I recoup that cost? I don't know. Are enough people looking for it? That's why I hate relying on ads. Honestly, it would be a lot easier. It would be easier if I had more subs to count on by way of Twitch, with Discord as the primary value add, or patrons. On a regular basis. And at one point, the Patreon level was super high, but, the higher that goes, the better off I would be able to get a new flagship device every month, which it seems that a new one would come out, or it would mitigate those costs. Barring that, it's doing device drives or specifically finding an overarching sponsor. I tweeted to Velcro today saying maybe they should be the sponsor, because they're not connected to any of the products, right? And I love Velcro. I organize everything. So what will be interesting, they replied and said, say what are you thinking, kind of. So I got to get back to them. And by the way, I said Throwboy because he did ask a question, not to throw the pillow in there, but do you watch the Star Wars Holiday Special around Christmas time? I watched it once. I think, if anything, we'll make it a routine with Jedi, while she doesn't know what's going on, but it was painful. It was painful. It really was. Horatio Cabrera asks, Chris, how'd you get your start in the TV world? Thank you. Well, back in the late '90s, I was writing an email newsletter. The next one I think may be going out today. You can sign up for that on chris.pirillo.com or lockergnome.com. Although I hate to tell you, I'm not a web designer. Both those websites need a new design altogether, and I'm not a web designer. I'm not a web developer. I'm not a web manager. They've fallen in disrepair because, quite honestly, people stopped caring. So I'm like, well, what's the point of updating them? But the newsletter still goes out. And I had written a book on how to do email publishing back in the day. Pretty much the book on email publishing. I think you can get it for like a penny on Amazon right now. Poor Richard's Email Publishing. And I was trying to promote the book, and I found the opportunity because a friend got featured on this show, and I said, well, hey, you feature websites and stuff. Why don't you let's take a look at mine? And then they did. And then they wanted to do an interview about my book, and so I was interviewed on, I think it was ZD TV at the time. It was before the Tech TV rebranding. And the very next, no, maybe it was just after the Tech TV rebranding. And I think it was the next day that I got a call wondering if I'd be interested in taking a screen test to go in and host a show based upon my webcam interview, much like this one. So I've always been fine in front of the camera. It's never been a problem for me, or a microphone. It doesn't matter to me. I'll do it. I'll talk about anything. That's it. That was it. That's how I got my start. I was also hosting a radio show at that time, and I haven't done that in a long time. Dylan Cross asks, what are your thoughts on the Mac Pro? I don't have many. I don't think I am really the market, the perfect marketplace. No, I'm not the target market, the target demo for a Mac Pro. I did have a Mac Pro for years. You remember those, unboxing videos when they were done live way back when, here at this desk. Ran on that for years. I ended up donating it to a friend who has been a great help, Eric Eichmeyer. Wonderful guy. Really a genuine spirit. And he helped set up a few things that I needed help with because I don't do a lot of that thing. I'm not an IT guy. So I'm not that. Beyond that, I wasn't interested because I don't need it. I'm starting to believe that the iMac is almost overkill. For a lot of the things I can do, I could probably just get away with just one system. I mean, I have it, and so I'll continue to use it for the time being. But eventually, I'll just be moving to probably just a single system, and it's more than likely a MacBook Pro. I'm not saying it's going to be. I'm saying it's more than likely. I don't see, as much as I really don't like what Apple's been doing, Mac OS, I generally have few complaints about. And quite honestly, there is no viable alternative for me outright. Trust me, if I was feeling pain, when I start to feel pain, you'll see me jump. Throwboy asks, do you still talk to Weird Al? Nah, he remembers me, but it's not like we have much to talk about. I want Jedi's first concert to be Weird Al Yankovic, though, because that was Diana's first concert, my first concert. Can't wait. Crichton Series 4000 asks, how do you feel about privacy on Android? That's the biggest concern I have when it comes to using Android phones. I try to limit how much Google knows about me. It's just a concern. I mean, Google's done a pretty good job at giving you granular control, more so than Apple, but I just don't have that worry with Apple that I do with Google. Some people would argue, it's not as bad as you say, and they still blah, blah, blah. But I also understand, for the most part, with Google, I'm not a customer. I'm a product. And I haven't felt differently about that. That's the one thing I wish Google would do differently. And even if it was a subset, if it wasn't if Pixel spun out to its own company, I'd be much happier with it. Like, seriously, if I as an Alphabet company, I'd be in. I'd be like, all right, let's give this a shot. Let's go. But because it's so tied to Google outright, because of Google's business model, that would be a pretty amazing thing to see, if you're asking me. You're not asking me necessarily, but I mean that question directly. Sorry, I was looking at a notification. I get the Discord notifications on like multiple devices, and the problem is that you can't clear them all away in one swipe. We've got a few minutes left, but I see a couple of more good comments or questions that I want to address. I'm trying to pack in as much as I can in these live videos, answering as many of the questions as the people to the people who do show up, because that's how it goes. What do you think of the circular glass in the back of the phone, aluminum case for a quick charge? Asks Nerd with Jordans. What do I think of a circular glass in the back of a phone and an aluminum case for a quick charge? I guess I'd be fine with it. I don't think much about the phone's design outright. If it's utilitarian, I'm fine with it. I think I'm more concerned. The thing that still bugs me, and you can go back and watch a lot of my old Android device reviews. I saw this on the X4, which is another reason I would be inclined not to spend my money on it. It's got Moto right there on the top of the phone. I'm like, I don't like that. I don't want any branding on the front of the phone. Yeah, fine, you can slap something on the back, make it a clean logo, but on the front, nay. No, don't want it. People ask why I cover up the Apple logo on the iMac, because I don't want to be staring at the Apple logo all the time. I just don't. I'm not a fan of that. I don't have to do that on my MacBook. Don't have to do it on my iPad. Don't have to do it on my phone. Why would I do it on the desktop? Nay. So that's what I have to say about that. Scrolling back up, see if I can answer a lot here. Do a poll on which device to get and charge what amount for every vote. The problem is that I can't do a general poll because I'd rather give weight to those who are actually donating for that device to get that device. I guess, as strange as it sounds, because I look to cover as many costs as I have, and at one point we had an amazing set of patrons. We lost a lot of that value over time for a lot of reasons, and I'll take the blame for a lot of that, because honestly, I just wasn't getting much direction, and I just didn't feel like anybody really wanted to listen to me talk about tech so much anymore. And so, if we can, maybe I got to set a pledge level where I think I'd be fine, because it helps cover costs. Electricity and hosting and this, that, and the other thing. But the pledge level that I'd set to be able to give patrons a monthly choice for, a choice also then leaves out my subs on Twitch. Then it also leaves out the super chatters on YouTube. There's no effective good way of doing that, even with a poll. So I'm not sure if there's an answer. I don't care how you support me and which platform you support me on. I'm just happy you do it. The best way to do it is probably just creating a new wish list on Amazon and then praying that one benefactor comes along and just, here's a device, Chris. There's another device, Chris. No one does that. I don't have a sugar daddy. I don't even eat sugar all that much. It's not a good thing. Khalil Ahmed asks, last question, thoughts about Pixel 2017. Not much, apart from I'm looking forward to it. Stay tuned to the live stream tomorrow. By the way, there will be 2 live streams tomorrow. There's the Google announcements in the Chris Pirillo YouTube channel, and then I'll do a separate TLDR potentially later in the day. You just kind of space things out and say, let's talk about Google. Because that's pretty much, I know it's going to be dominating my mind. I can't wait. I'm more excited for it than I was the Apple announcements. Ganja Flash 420 asks, is a hot dog a sandwich? If you want it to be, man. Tana Does Tech does a super chat. I want to thank you for being honest and giving Android a try. You're awesome. I've always given Android a fair shake, I feel. But, I've seen some great strides in terms of performance, and Pixel honestly really captured my attention. So Android became in my estimation, became worthy of my time. That's not to say it wasn't worthy of your time before. Doesn't mean that you didn't have a different journey. It just means that I'm seeing it as something that is now completely viable, because the alternative is iOS. And don't get me started, because we're at the end of the broadcast. Dave Lindenschmidt asks, how long before we see Apple AR glasses? Haha, iPods. I don't know. That is a great question. I would hope within the next 3 years. I'm dreaming of it. Like it would frustrate me so much, because I want that technology. I want that technology. And so that's what I'm saying. I can't just write Apple off. It's so painful. Like I was talking about Android Wear and not finding a good alternative. The Apple Watch, it's okay. I don't necessarily wear it all the time, but it's a nice option. I just may have to table the idea of having a watch, because I won't be able to effectively use it as seamlessly on with an Apple Watch and an Android phone. So it's kind of sad. I don't know. I'm excited, but then I'll also be disappointed if it only works within Apple's ecosystem, which I'm finding myself becoming more and more repulsed by. Got a few more questions, maybe, as we've got just maybe 1 or 2 more minutes. How do you charge your iPhone 8 Plus in the Mophie? Asks Guillermo with the case. It's got inductive charging built in. So it's got a micro USB connector, which is really disappointing. They should have moved to USB-C years ago. That's really the only disappointing part that I have about it. But I don't actually remove it from the case. Nasan Nahidime asks, do you think the iPad will ever replace a MacBook for most people? Yes, is an answer to that question. Don't have too much time to dive into it, but it's true. Most people do not need a traditional desktop or laptop computer anymore. Absolutely not. Hell, I'd go as far as to say smartphone can replace a computer. This is a PC. This is more of a PC than my first PC. Something else I should probably put on a damn t-shirt. Dalton Wild says, Chris, just found your channel. Love these live videos. Makes me laugh. Everyone, lol. Totally agree with a lot that you say. Thank you. Remember, I've got the other YouTube channel. Remember, I've got the new podcast on Anchor.fm. You can subscribe in your favorite podcast client. Theoretically, I think the show is everywhere. It's simply titled Chris Pirillo. You can find me everywhere. In some cases, everywhere, on more than one place on any one platform like YouTube. Can we get super chats so you can get the iPhone 10? I don't want to do that. Honestly, this is going to be weird to say. I'm not joking. Maybe I should kind of end this with this. My biggest fear is that someone's going to get it's a fear. Someone's going to get the iPhone 10 and send it to me to the mailbox. What am I going to do? I know. I fear. I feel it's going to happen. Because I ain't going to do it. I ain't going to chase it. I don't want it. And then people are going to be like, oh, you've got it. You said someone else sent it to you. I'm telling you. I know. I swear to God. If it doesn't happen, I'm fine. It's a prediction. I'm like, oh, they know how angry I am about this thing. What if it shows up? But thank you, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in. Santiago, thank you for designing ideas for designing T-shirts. I would go with the pixel art series on Teespring or whatever. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing, setting notifications to this channel and the other channel. Subbing to me on Twitch if you did. You can do it for free if you have an Amazon Prime account connected. Becoming a patron if you are. Patreon.com/Chris Pirillo. Following on Twitter, Facebook, all the social feeds, including Instagram, and asking some pretty solid questions every day. I love you. I appreciate you. And may the Force be with you.